Well, hello and welcome to this weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Greek. And today we are going to talk about monadic nouns and the presence or absence of the Greek article with monadic nouns. And you may be asking yourself, what in the world is that guy talking about when you hear that? Well, a little background to lead into this. I was recently reading a Greek reference work discussing scripture, and I was discussing the word in a specific text, the word theos, the word for God. And the article was present there, and the author was kind of making a big deal out of that. And it reminded me of something I had read years ago in Richard Young's grammar, where he noted that 80% of the time, a monadic noun, a noun for which the author or speaker believes there is one, and clearly the authors of the New Testament believe that there is one God, they are monotheist, a monadic noun occurs with the article 80% of the time. So when the noun occurs with the article, we shouldn't be asking ourselves, what does this article mean? We should expect that. That is the normal usage with a monadic noun, for the article to be present. It's when the article is absent that we should be paying more attention and asking ourselves what's going on. A little bit more about the Greek article. The Greek article, and notice we're saying the Greek article. We're not saying the Greek definite article. In English, we have a definite article, the, and we have an indefinite article, a or an, but Greek just has an article. Now, all languages have different levels of specificity. I have a friend who's worked in Tibet, and he's told me that there's all these different words for snow in Tibet based on whether it's melting or firm or all different kinds of, I think he told me 12 different words to describe different kinds of snow. And you can see, living in that culture, why that level of specificity might be necessary. Whereas in Kentucky, here in the southeastern United States, one word, snow, does a pretty good job. Of course, we have sleet and freezing rain and all these other things, which I guess maybe he has words like that in mind too. I don't know. But Greek doesn't have an indefinite article in this period, but it kind of wants one, so to speak. I mean, people are sort of subconsciously developing one. You can see the word haste, the word for one, is beginning to function kind of like an indefinite article, like an English word a or an. The word tis, the indefinite pronoun tis, is beginning to function like an indefinite article sometimes. And but formally, we just have an article, and it's those paradigms that you've memorized, probably your first or second week of elementary Greek. Let's say a little bit more about this article. It occurs about 20,000 times. The Greek article occurs about 20,000 times in the New Testament. That means 1 out of every 7 words in the Greek New Testament is an article. So you put your finger down 7 times, chances are one of those will be a Greek article. A.T. Robertson, a famous Greek scholar of nearly a century ago, who taught at the school where I teach, the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky. This is what he said. He said, the article is never meaningless in Greek, though it often fails to correspond with the English idiom. That's important. It often fails to correspond with the English idiom. This is why when you have beginning students translating actual sentences from the Greek New Testament, the Greek word will have an article, and then the English translation will not, and they'll be so upset. They'll say, why isn't the word "the" here in English? Because the Greek has an article. And you say, well, there's not an exact match in languages. For example, another one is abstract nouns like love, joy, peace. In English, we almost never use these with an article. We don't say the love or the joy or the peace. But in Greek, 70% of the time or so, abstract nouns occur with the article. So there's a mismatch in the idiomatic use, in the stylistic patterns and preferences between languages in the use or absence of the article. And we want to be nuanced. We don't want to be simplistic and overinterpret the presence or absence of the article. We also don't want to miss a nuance when that is important. I want to end here by just quoting Richard Young himself from his intermediate Greek grammar about monadic nouns, where I first encountered the main teaching that I'm doing this weekend. Let's just quote from Richard Young. He says, a monadic noun refers to something of which there's thought to be only one, right? He gives some examples here. Gay, earth, helios, sun, Theos, God, of course, from the perspective of the New Testament authors, there was one God. Uranos, heaven. Selene, moon. The article is present about 80% of the time with the nouns listed. Notice that 80%. 80% of the time you expect a monadic noun to have the article in Greek. He notes, even though the article is not needed to distinguish these nouns from others since they are one of a kind. So I hope this has helped you. We want to pay attention, careful attention to the text so that we might understand what the inspired biblical authors are teaching. And so we want to be nuanced and not oversimplistic and not overstating what an article's absence or presence means.